This year I'm putting $1,500 towards all of my clients' purchases, so if that sounds good to you, send me a message. Late 2023, the city of Vancouver introduced new zoning allowing up to 8 units that can be separated on one single family home lot. Here's a home I toured the other day in Kitsilano that we currently have listed at Engel and Volkers. This is an example of what we will start to see more of in Vancouver's west side specifically. Mostly anyways, and amongst other areas. Mostly because for the last while, the west side housing has been very specific, the zoning rules on what you're allowed to build there. And you may say, yeah, I've seen this before. What is new? Well, in the past, these areas had been zoned, like I said, specifically only for single family homes. Like, it doesn't matter if you bought the lot, you couldn't just build a duplex and sell half or do whatever you wanted. You could only have one residence in specific areas. Some people would contact the city to say, hey, like I have this big lot, like can I build multiple properties and go through a long process that sometimes they would say yes, sometimes they would say no. Now, if you have a certain lot, certain sizes, you can just build more units because the city, at the end of the day, they get to have a say in what you're doing. So don't go out and buy a lot just thinking you can tear a house down and build whatever. You gotta pay attention to the zoning. But over time, the city is becoming more relaxed and helping us have more density, which is what the people are asking for. You know, more density, more people have places to live. I want to touch on why zoning can be a good thing just in a second, because obviously it's keeping density low, which in turn leads to higher housing costs, which we don't love. But first, what are the changes that we'll actually see around us, and will this have any effect on pricing at all? Because that is the point at the end of the day, to make, you know, more space for people to live. Prices come down if there's more density, because right now there's more people than there are places to live, and that's what's making everything so expensive. Vancouver just mainly has a large supply and demand issue. That is the reason for our crazy prices, and some people are just getting priced out of the city. So this is a great change. I give it a thumbs up, right? The zoning, new rules, all these lots can now be transformed into new larger properties. The only problem with this new rule is not really a problem with the rule itself, but it's that there's not enough of an incentive for properties that already exist, right? You have a 4,000 square foot house sitting on a lot that can now be 6 properties. Are you going to spend the money to turn it into 6 properties? Because for them all to be their own properties, you need to have, you know, their own electrical panels, their own exits, second exits, right? 2 entryways to each one. There's a lot of things to make them their own units, and the city to say, yes, these are all their own units now. It's going to cost a lot of money. It'd be great if we could see the government giving out like a bigger incentive to help people turn their large house into 6 units, into 4 units, that kind of thing. Because yes, you could turn your house into 4 units and then sell them off individually, maybe live in one of them. There could be some potential there. But of course, that takes a lot of time of renovations to do that. And maybe you have to move out, find somewhere else to live, and a lot of money to do it. And so there is risk involved. Because yes, these units are allowed to be split up and then actually sold off separately, just like an apartment building. But you can now do that with houses if they're split up correctly, again, and follow all the rules like electrical panels and their own entry exits and a list of other things. Like I said, this came into effect late 2023. Have we seen any changes? Has it done anything? Well, something like this takes a lot of time and a lot of units being changed into these and created more housing for us actually to see a change in pricing. So far, I've only seen a handful in the first few months of 2024 that are actually being converted into more housing from one singular larger home. And again, it's because it's a lot of work, right? It's just a lot of work to change a house into several more units if it wasn't designed for that use originally, which most of them are not. So it's a good step for zoning, but it's going to take a while to see these changes. There will be developers who come in and maybe buy older houses now that are kind of falling apart and build a new structure that is 4 or 8 units or 6 units or whatever. And you know, sometimes developers get a bad rap because they're like, whatever, increasing prices, but a house that is one house for one person or one family, technically it's better if a developer comes in, splits it into 6, the average price is lower. Instead of buying the $2 million house and lot, now it's $800,000 for, 6 units. Just like that example, with that example, this is a good step for zoning. And zoning here can get a really bad rap from the people, saying like the city isn't changing zoning fast enough. It did take a long time for this change to happen. Honestly, it should have happened a long time ago. But, we do need zoning for a reason. That's how we keep, heritage homes, heritage areas. That's why curb appeal is really nice in some areas. Like, for example, zoning is what tells you how far you can build close to the curb. So lots of neighborhoods like Kitsilano, some places in East Van, there's always a 20-foot setback between the curb and the start of the building. That's a rule. And I like that because it creates a nice look instead of all the buildings being right along the street like you would see in Paris or something like that, which I think that still looks nice. But if it was like that everywhere, you know, in Paris when I was walking, it felt a bit cramped when the buildings are right beside you. And so we still need zoning. That's my point. I'll stop there, but we still need zoning and they're making it better. So if you're watching this video and you have a property that is a single family home, depending on how large it is, you can have up to 8 properties on it. And so selling your property to a developer, it could be the smart thing to do and make it worth more money if you just sold it to, instead of if you just sold it to someone else looking to live there. You can contact me below if that applies to you. And that's pretty much it for this video.